me as the best resource for tall tale. I hope they don't mean that I am the best liar they know. That's not true. I too try and tell the truth once in a while. But Toastmasters demands those lies of you, especially in the season when it's tall tales. Now, I had promised Brian a few weeks ago that I would come and speak to Division C and all the members who we can, invite for this session. But I'll tell you today has been a really challenging day. Um, I was preparing my slides, getting my stuff ready early in the morning so that I would be ready for this session. Just then, out of the blue, you're not going to believe me, I get a phone call. Guess from who? Angelina Jolie. Now, if Angelina Jolie phones, you pick up the phone. Whatever happens, right? It's not what you think. See, over here in the UAE, Dubai, where I'm from, Angelina Jolie has a reputation for cooking the best chicken biryani in Dubai. I know you haven't heard that of her, but definitely. So when Angelina Jolie invites you to have biryani at her home, you don't say no to Angelina Jolie, right? I said, fine, give me 15 minutes, I'll be there. I started my car and I'm driving towards Angelina Jolie's house, right? It's around 15, 20 minutes away. Um, as I was just stopped at one red signal, which was taking a bit longer than I expected to open up. Guess who I see at the right side? Crossing the road? Stephen Hawking's. You remember him? Yeah, he has a brief history with time. Yeah, he used to run a watch repair shop near my college. I know him since then. I know him since then. He sees me, he stops right in the middle of the road, pulls me out of my car, says, Hashim, where have you been? I've been waiting so long to meet you. Oh man, dude, it's been years. I said, of course, let's move this conversation to the sidewalk so that we don't block the traffic. He said, dude, forget about your where Angelina Jolie and her biryani and all of that. I'm going to play golf and you have to join me. I haven't seen you in so many years. You need to come. I said, come on, man, I can't say no to Angelina. He slaps me and says, you can't say no to me. We're going to play golf now. You don't say no to Stephen Hawking's, right? What to do? I said, fine. I'll pay just a few holes and then I've got to go, meet Angelina for lunch, right? Her biryani is awesome. He said, dude, just come. He calls an Uber, yeah. And guess what? Instead of a car, we get one of the latest SpaceX rockets that come and stop right on the sidewalk in Dubai. I'm like, man, where is this game that you're taking me to? We'll find out. He pulls me in, the rocket zips off. Guess where we land? At Elon Musk's resort on Mars. Yep, he has a resort on Mars. He just hasn't told us about it yet. It's there. It's there. I think Hilton's bidding for it as well. We get down. Elon Musk is waiting there. Where have you guys been? I've been waiting for you for some. I'm like, come on. How did he even know that we're here? He knows everything. He just doesn't tell us. He knows everything. We start playing golf there. Elon's there. Stephen Hawking's is there. I am there. I think they invited a few district directors from a couple of divisions. I don't know if Brian was invited. Maybe he didn't get the mail on time. But a lot of people there. We start playing golf. I'm a lousy golf player. I think one of the balls that I hit, it broke one of the rings of Saturn as well. And another one has become a comet. I think we'll see it in 10 years from now. But once we played a few rounds, the Toastmaster in me came out. I sat them all down and said those magical words. We provide a positive and supporting learning experience in which members are empowered. And we started out the first ever Toastmasters meeting on Mars. Yes, you'll get the flyer pretty soon. All things done. I was like, dude, I'm getting late. I have a tall tales session to prepare for. We need to go. And I pulled Stephen into that SpaceX Uber rocket and we zip off back down to Earth. But you know the problem with these Ubers? They always run out of gas somewhere or the other. Imagine out in space, we're running out of gas. I am like slapping the driver left and right. What are you doing? I need to go. We head for the nearest gas station. Guess where it is? Moscow. We land immediately while they're plugging in the Uber and getting the gas filled in. A cavalcade of Rolls Royces are coming to pull us out. Two hunky big guys with bald heads and Ray-Ban glasses. They pull us into a car and zip us off to the Kremlin. Guess who's waiting for us? Vladimir Putin. You don't say no to Putin. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. I had to have lunch with him. He insists. Every time I go to Russia, he insists. So I sat there and we had some special lunch with with the famous Vladimir Putin and his not so famous cousin Vladimir Putout. Yeah, we had lunch. What to do? You don't say no to them. But as stuffing myself with Russian food and some vodka that tasted very suspicious, I don't know what was in it. I said, I pulled Stephen to the side and said, dude, I've really got to go. You know what? This day has been adventurous, but my sixth sense tells me there's something more adventurous that I need to do. And I pulled Stephen out. After all that food, I was completely zonkers sitting in that rocket. I wanted to head home, but I told Stephen, look, I'm getting a vision. There's this place I need to be in. I've got to connect to Amsterdam because what I foresee is that the next champion of tall tales in Europe is going to be from Amsterdam, and I've got to go and support them. They've already got a world champion, but now they're going to get a tall tales champion as well. So I've got to be there to support them. And I zip through to my room, and friends, here I am, ready to give you a taste of what a good tall tale would sound like. So that was my tall tale for all of you. All of that actually happened. I know you believe me. You do believe me, right? Yeah, I thought so. This is what a typical tall tale would sound like. I'm sure you can do better than me. However, I was just giving you an example and a taste of what you would want to put in to those 3 to 5 minutes that you get. Yes, it is an opportunity that Toastmasters gives you to officially go on stage and lie in front of 100 people. Nobody else gives you that opportunity. If ever you wanted to create a fib which your parents did not believe, yeah, if ever you wanted to go and concoct up something so unbelievable that you were sure to be thrown out of school, but you couldn't do it, this is your chance. You finally get that opportunity. All the weight of all these years has been worth it. You can go on stage, lie, and if you lie well good enough, they'll give you a trophy as well. Every person's dream come true. All right. Thank you so much for listening to me. I'm going to try and share with you a few suggestions today that will help you craft a lovely tall tales that will do two things. One, it's going to entertain your audience like you've never done before. And two, it's going to help you expand your creativity, which you can apply in all your regular speeches as well. Sounds good? All right, let's go. It's Toastmasters tradition that if you do an education session, you need to have slides. Otherwise, the division director will not call you back again. So I've prepared a few slides. I don't really like them, but well, it'll probably help you see things a little clearer. All right, let's go for those slides. All right. So the session is called Spin Up a Tall Tale by Hashim Haleem. Okay, what's next? All right. No, we're not there yet. All right. So, what is a tall tale? A tall tale is a story with unbelievable elements related as if they were true and actually happened. Right. So, the narrator, it's important that the narrator is part of the story because you're relaying this as if it really happened, as if you were there, you saw it, and you're trying to convince the audience, dude, this really happened. Yeah. It is a speech. What do we know about speeches? Opening, body, conclusion. That's the basic stuff that we know. So that's got to be there in your tall tale. The time, as you all know, is 3 to 5 minutes. And the type of speech that you're giving is storytelling. The key ingredient that makes it different from the other speeches that you have, like your international speech, for example, the key difference is this one's all about exaggeration, right? It's got to be unbelievable. Exaggerate, exaggerate, exaggerate. That's how this story, this tall tale is going to be delivered. Few things I need you to remember. It has to be a story. Okay, that's what your judges are going to expect from you. And stories are good if you want to really connect with the audience, keep them on their seats, and really want them to follow you along with it. Then a story is really good. Stories have to end somewhere, so it's important that you have a climax where this finishes. Stories can't be very random and all over the place, so there's got to be a specific theme that you're going to be speaking on, and everything in between has got to be exaggerated. Like, look at our friend in this picture here. He's telling a story to his buddies about how he went fishing and the size of the fish that he bought, yeah, that he was able to catch. And you see on the wall, that fish is hanging there. It's a very normal size uh, fish, but he's exaggerating show it. So this is what would be expected from you. However, of course, when you tell the story, the fish could be this big. Yeah, this is how big the fish is going to be in your tall tale. That could be you sitting there as well. All right, let's look at a few things that will help you structure your tall tale. The first and foremost thing is your premise, right? So there's got to be a specific theme that you want to speak about. That's usually where you're going to start the story from, and you've got to end it somewhere related to that theme. So when I gave you my tall tale, I started out with my premise was I'm preparing for this session, so I'm getting my slides done, and my exaggerations are the distractions that came in between. So there were characters, there were incidents that were happening, and then we ended up somewhere towards this particular instance. So this is what your premise is all about. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, it's not for me. All right. The second and more important part of your tall tale is the exaggeration. So it wasn't one piece that was getting exaggerated. If you noticed in my story, I was exaggerating every single piece of it, right? So the first instance, I had Angelina Jolie and her cooking. That was exaggerated. The next bit, I had Stephen Hawking and going for golf and the SpaceX rocket. There's an exaggeration. The golf game itself, then meeting Vladimir Putin, and then coming back here. So the central parts of your story, the different scenes that you have are exaggerated, and that's what's expected. You have to remember that it's in the end it is a story. You also wanted to have those twists and turns and climax and make it a little funny in between so that people will really stay with you throughout this. So those elements of the storytelling are what's going to allow you to compose this tall tale in such a way that the audience is always with you. So what do we have? We have a common premise that is going throughout, starting and ending. We have the different scenes in between, which are exaggerated, and you're presenting this all over in the form of a story. You got to do all of this in 3 to 5 minutes. Yeah. So let's look at what the judges would be looking for from your tall tale. You see the 30 marks right on top for content. This is for your speech development. This looks pretty much like your international speech itself, except the differences there are you're getting marks for your build up, you're getting marks for your climax, and you're getting marks for how smooth your story flows, right? So you have the main organization of the opening body conclusion, you have all of that happening, but you've got to build up with twists and turns. You've got to arrive at a smooth ending. So this is what will help you structure, and this is what the judges would be looking for from your speech. It's not enough just to have exaggerations all over the place. They have to be connected with each other. The flow has to be smooth. It shouldn't look like, you've gone from one and you're doing something completely different. That connected theme of one transitioning into the next scene, transitioning into the next scene has got to be really smooth and practiced. So when you write your scripts, make sure that you connect each exaggeration together with a transition sentence. So when one finishes, there is some transition which happens and you arrive at the next scene in your story. Smoothness is really important. Very specifically, they've taken and mentioned the word climax, right? So that means your ending has to be grand. It has to be connected to your opening, of course, but it has to be something really grand and significant. That is where your story has to end. The difference now in Tall Tale that you see, the second segment called delivery is 55 marks, right? And that's enlarged because there's a special box called speech techniques, which is 25 marks, where they've specifically written use of exaggeration, irony, pun, surprise twists, humor, slapstick, etc. It's all about the techniques that you're using for this specific tall tale. So the key word here is you need to have these exaggerations. You need to have the surprise twist. So when you script, see which parts you have that can be exaggerated. Okay, if it can't be exaggerated, I would suggest you see if you can edit it out, but keep one, two, three, four exaggerations perhaps, or five exaggerations, depending upon how long those segments are in your story itself. So in my story, you had all of these different parts which were exaggerated, right? So that's how you're going to structure this flow for 3 to 5 minutes. Physical appearance, body language, energy is very critical both in tall tales and in humorous. You want to see exaggerations get bigger when you actually use your hands, your gestures, to show how big that was. Remember the picture of the gentleman talking about his fish? Yeah, he's showing it with his hands, right? So the physical part of it is very important when you really want to show your audience how exaggerated this is. If you're doing this on a stage in front of people, you want to have your gestures a little wider, a little bigger, so that it's visible to the entire audience. If it's an online contest and you're on a laptop camera, you want to show it like this, probably show the growth to show how it is increasing. If you are giving a speech, obviously it's good to stand so that you get a better view from the laptop camera and show how large or how much your exaggeration is. Voice is another tool that you can use to really bring the emphasis on specific areas which you want to emphasize, right? So you want to say that when you want to project characters, when you want to show how big or how long or how tired you were, you want to use the voice to actually show the emphasis on certain areas. When you pick your topic, few things to remember. Okay, you don't want it to be too childish, right? Because your audience is all adults, all Toastmasters. So it's got to be appropriate for the audience that you're speaking to. Then again, you don't want this to be an Isaac Asimov science fiction book, right? It can't be too deep. So you got to find that middle ground where it's not too childish and yet not too scientific or too deep for the audience to understand. So you've got to keep it simple and keep it smooth, right? So KISS here is keep it simple and smooth. You don't need to use too many complicated words. Let the audience understand you, enjoy the exaggerations, laugh along with you, and keep them going on this journey. So you got to score pretty well in each of these boxes for you to be able to really do well in the Tall Tales contest. All right. So a few more details on selecting the right premise for your speech. I mentioned that it's got to be appropriate for the audience. Now, depending upon if you have an idea of where your division is, the kind of stories that you select, you don't want to offend anybody. So you pick characters, you pick people who you can actually use in your speech, right? So I would steer clear of, stuff like maybe religion or inappropriate sexual content or language that is inappropriate for the audience. Try to keep it limited to things you know that your audience will be able to understand. That is regionally acceptable to the people, and doesn't offend anybody. I mentioned earlier that it's got to be simple. If they have to think too much, they're not going to laugh. And if they have to think too much and understand, they're not going to be able to enjoy it. So you want to keep it simple, make sure that everyone's with you on this journey and they're able to understand. Keep your exaggerations brief. Don't go on and on and on the same point, right? Establish your exaggeration, get the laugh, move on to the next scene, right? So keep the scenes moving. In my tall tale, I had 4 or 5 scenes. So the idea is to keep it moving and not keep pounding on the same exaggerations. Have good characters. Build characters. If you can use characters that are known to everybody, easier for you. You don't have to describe them. However, if you're using characters that are known only to you or characters you're creating, give them a description, give them an expression, give them some gestures, give them some way of for the audience to also visualize them, right? Build that character up, give them something to say, right? So if you're going to use characters which are created or known only to you, make sure you describe them well and give them a position on stage. Otherwise, use characters which are famous, which everyone can quickly understand and follow along with you. Be creative. Don't limit yourself to what you would do in a humorous speech or an international speech. That's not the idea of a tall tale. The idea of a tall tale is to exaggerate. So, really be imaginative. There aren't too many limits here. The only limit is what you think your audience will accept from you. So you have the full flexibility to lie through your teeth and concoct something so unbelievable, right? It's like you have Hogwarts again and you can do whatever you want. So be creative, really use your imagination, really take it to the next level. Twists and turns. You want to keep your audience on their feet, ready. Sorry about that, eagerly waiting to see what's next in your story, right? So it can't be going at one level. You want it to have those ups and downs, twists and turns, and the curiosity created with your statements. And it has to end where you had initially started it or connected to where you had initially started it with a grand climax. All right, so this is where you would find the content for your tall tale. If you have any questions, you can put it up right now, or if you wish, we can wait until the end and take all questions together. I leave it up to you guys. How you say it? Attitude plays a big part in your ability to convince your audience, right? You have to bring the energy here. It's got to be in your face, in your eyes. It's got to be in the way you tell those stories, in the little attempts that you make to connect with your audience in between. Oh, like I kept asking, you don't say no to Putin or you don't say no to Angelina Jolie, right? Just to get the audience involved and share that energy with your audience. Your body language, the use of your face, the use of your hands to really amp up that exaggeration, right? Yeah, it does a lot more than what the words do, right? When you are able to express, when you're able to use and show those gestures, which will really support what you're saying. Dramatize it. It's not a place, it's not a speech where you want to keep it sober. It's not a speech where you want to, be low profile. This is about really exaggeration, and exaggeration is not only in the words, it's also in your expressions, in your emotions. You really want to bring it out, show the frustration, show the surprise, create those moments for your audience, right? The exaggerations need to be there. It's preferred if they are humorous. Having humor in your speech really helps you to connect with the audience, keep them interested in the exaggeration that you're creating. Don't forget to pause. Pauses are an important part of humor, right? So if you're hitting a joke, remember there are two pauses in a joke. One is just before the punchline, which creates the curiosity and gets the audience interested. And the second one is right after the punchline, when hopefully the audience is laughing. You want to give that pause so they will continue laughing. If you start your next sentence, they will stop laughing and listen to you, right? But you want them to laugh, right? And like I said at the beginning, have fun. This is your opportunity to, really throw this out of the park, right? Just blow it up, have fun with it, exaggerate to your teeth's content, tell all those stories that you always wanted to tell, but your parents never believed you. Yeah, tell it all. Go up on stage, tell it all, and the district will give you a prize for doing it as well. All right. So the importance of tall tales is that what is now proved was once only imagined. Back in the day, history that we have, many of these were probably told by storytellers, right, who went from one part of the world to the other. And the way they said it made those people really great. Hercules, he pulled out the lion with his mere fist. He was able to pull that lion out. This is what the story tells. It was probably a cat and he stepped on it by mistake. Who knows? But we like to believe the lion story, right? So whatever was told to us now as history was, in all likelihood, once upon a time it was a tale which was said, and then later on it's been proved or whatever. So don't think of this as, a, a contest that is only for fun. It's also helping you expand your imagination, expand your creativity, allowing you to test new ideas, test new material, and learn new skills, which are going to help you in all other aspects of your public speaking, of your communication, of your writing. Yeah. So don't set too many limits for yourself. The only limits that you need to think of are appropriateness, language, probably sensitivities. But other than that, you are free to really experiment, come out with something creative, imaginative, and have a lot of fun doing that. So these are the content that I wanted to speak to you about in terms of tall tales. What I'd like to do now is take questions from you, try and support you in whatever way I can to answer any questions you may have and clear any doubts so that you'll be well set to deliver a winning tall tale in your upcoming contests. If you have any questions, feel free to. I see a hand raised. Or is that an image?
Hi, Hashim. Thank you for the lessons. Very yeah. I kept writing. I was wondering, did you also use an attribute or a product? Did you use, how do you say it? An attribute.
Okay.
Did you use it?
An attribute of, you
Um,
mean a prop, like
yeah, a
a
prop.
prop?
Yeah, prop.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay. So in this session, I did not use a prop. However, although it's not specifically mentioned in the judges' ballot, it's usually good to have a prop if it really suits what you're saying.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, if it suits what you're saying, it's good to have a prop because it gives the judges another reason to give you more marks. So it is good, but you don't need to overdo it. But use it only if it's appropriate for your speech.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
And is it also we have 3 till 5 minutes?
yeah,
I keep going over my time. I'm at 5:20, but I guess have to leave some sentences out. But is it
yeah.
five the max or 5.30?
So you have 5:30,
Okay.
but I'll give you a tip that you can use for any speech, not just for your tall tales. Always prepare your speech when you write it for 1 minute less than what is allowed for you. So if you were writing a speech for 3 to 5 minutes, my suggestion to you would be to write for 4 minutes and
Okay.
deliver that in 4:30, 4:45 with your pauses, with your expressions, everything. So when you practice, see that, okay, if you are somebody who speaks at something like 120 words or 100 words a minute, then you write only 400 or 450 maximum. And you deliver that by taking more time. So you can really express, you can put your pauses. Because when you're in a contest or when you're speaking in front of an audience, there's likely to be some response from the audience, right? They may laugh at times. Sometimes you really want to milk that. So you have to give yourself enough time. So I would always suggest, so what I do for my international speeches, what I tell everybody is you write for 6 minutes and you deliver that in 6 minutes 45 or 6 minutes 30. But don't write for 7 minutes and try to squeeze it all in. That's not going to work. It's more important for you to be able to express and finish it on time. So you write for a minute lesser than what you're allowed, and then you present it with more time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, because you also said when the audience is laughing, have a pause.
You have
And
to pause. Yes. Yes.
yeah, and that was a very good suggestion. So thank you. And yeah, I am in a hurry with my speech, and it's like top sport. And at 2 minutes, I am high in my breath, so I have to take something
Yeah,
out.
I would
Yeah,
say, just cut it short.
yeah,
Look through your script and see, if you remove that, is the story and all still the same? If it
yeah.
is, get rid of it. Get rid of it.
Okay. Yeah.
That
Thank
will
you very
help you.
much. Yeah.
Toastmaster Hashim, can I ask you a question on behalf of everyone?
Sure,
Uh,
sure, of
I've,
course. MC, go
I've
ahead.
often in the during past contests, something I've seen the contestants do is that they confuse a tall tale for an humorous speech. So, could you educate us on where, yeah, like you mentioned that humor is important when you exaggeration that helps the your speech, but when I have seen how people get sometimes marks cut
Carried
off
away with
because
just the
they,
humor.
yeah,
Yeah.
because the story has only humor. So, could you elaborate on that, please?
Sure,
Thank you.
sure, sure. So these are actually two different things, right? Exaggeration and humor. You can exaggerate to create humor, of course. But let me make this simple for you. If you, like in the case of Paula now, you have a script and you want to make it short. If you have a choice between exaggeration and humor to remove, I say remove humor, right? But keep the exaggeration in there because you're scored more on the exaggeration. The reason why you have humor in there is to keep it light, is to keep it lighter, keep the audience interested, connect with the audience. That's why you have the humor in there. But what you really want to project here is your exaggerations. It's the same case in an international speech, for example, right? You want to have a strong message, you want to have the motivation. You use the humor to make it a little lighthearted, to make it keep the audience interested. That's why you use the humor, right? So the same case here in the tall tale, it's the exaggeration that's going to win you this contest. The humor is to keep the audience connected with you, right? So focus more on the exaggeration, add the humor like you would salt on your dish, peppered at the right places, just to keep it interesting. I hope that answers the question,
Yes,
maybe.
thank you.
And what is your suggestion about the climate at the end? About what is really good? Do you have an idea about it?
So, see, when you start your tall tale, you're going to set a premise, right? That you were going somewhere or you were doing something or this is your objective. So, in the climax, you would want to come back to that and end that story in the right way. Everything that happens in between is exaggeration. So, say that your premise was, you're going to bake a cake for, your friend's birthday party. This is your premise. So, you're going to start with that and then the exaggerations are going to come. You're going to go here, there, wherever it is, all connected to this. But you're going to end back by actually baking that cake or making it a complete disaster and ending it there. Right? So, whatever thought or premise you started with, you want to bring that back at the end and have a conclusion to that. That will be your grand climax. So, you've got to end back where you started with the same thought or activity that you were doing.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
sure. All Anybody else? Whatever questions you have, I'm here to help you and support you in this. Yes,
Yes,
Anne Marie.
I have a question.
Yep.
Thank you for being here with us tonight. How do you prepare for your speeches? Because I always like to rehearse, and then at the end I am bored with it myself. So,
Yeah, yeah. So, I'm not going to give you an answer that you will be very happy with because I'm someone who likes to practice as well. I like to repeat that speech again and again. But how I keep it interesting, Anne-Marie, is something probably that you can apply in your speeches as well. In between, to really get a feel of each part of my speech, what I like to do is just rehearse sections of it. So maybe I would do the first paragraph, take a break, then do the fifth paragraph, come back to the second, mix it up, just go section by section so that I keep each segment of it fresh and I see how it's working, where I'm really getting the feel for it, or is there something I want to do different about it. But yeah, you will have to practice. However, try to mix it up and see if you can really enjoy that area of practicing it. But in the end, you do have to practice.
okay, how long do you practice for a 5-minute speech?
Yeah, I would try and freeze my script probably a week or 10 days before, and then just hit and practice it probably 100 times or 120 times, the same speech. Sometimes early in the morning when I wake up and I'm getting ready for work, I just take a few minutes and try my speech out. When I'm driving in Dubai, the traffic is really bad, so I'm stuck in traffic most of the day. Gives me a lot of time to actually practice my speech, so that there's enough time available. But I just make sure that I'm well rehearsed before I go onto the stage, because the idea is, it's not about memorizing and practicing that. It's more about actually internalizing your speech and feeling every moment, so that you can edit it and make changes if you feel that some sentence is not impactful enough, or you aren't getting the real feel that you want. You can modify it. So it's good to get a head start in practicing and trying each segment out. Yeah.
So you reread it all the times, or do you tape it with the voice recorder, or?
Yeah, I usually, no, I like to, when I'm practicing at home, I just keep the laptop on and I record myself so I can see whether my positioning is right, the expressions are right, all of it. Otherwise, when I'm in the car and all, I just repeat it again and again, repeat some key statements, really get the feel of those sentences. Yeah. So
Okay,
you
so
don't have to do all 7 minutes every single time, right? You'll do parts of it. And then when you actually want to record yourself, you'll put it all together and try it again. Yeah.
so I just have to start a little earlier.
Which means you'll have to finish writing a little earlier
Yeah.
and
Yes.
not the day before the contest.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Carolyn.
Hi, thank you for teaching us. My question is, what might a tall tale story be trying to teach us, even if it's unrealistic? Or is it not about teaching? Is it the premise doesn't need to be about teaching?
Are you talking about teaching the audience or what we as speakers are learning from
Uh, I mean, the key message of the tall tale.
to
Could
the
that be
audience?
something you try to teach the audience, like
Okay, okay.
a call to action?
So
Could there be a call to action, even if, yeah, even if it's tall tale, or is it just not about that?
so in the segments like tall tale and humorous, um, ideally, I'm somebody who believes that every speech should have some kind of message for the audience, right? It should have, otherwise, there isn't really much purpose in delivering that speech. However, in the case of tall tales and in the case of humorous, the message is not the key part of this speech. The key part is to entertain the audience, right? So, in the case of humorous, you're entertaining them with humor, whereas in tall tales, you're entertaining them with exaggeration. So if you remember that old Toastmasters speech that was there of general and specific purpose, the general purpose in this case would be to entertain the audience,
Mhm.
right? The specific would be related to the matter that you're speaking about. So there can be a message, but it does not have to be the main element of the speech.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, perfect. All right. Does anyone else have questions? See a lot of people who have their cameras switched off. If you guys have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or
Jij wat op het
uh,
webpage?
Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm. Thank you for the evening. I wonder about what about exaggerations that are more rooted in realism? So if I would say on my way to work, I got stomped by a horde of dinosaurs, which would be a euphemism for I got hit by a car because it's running on oil or just
Mhm.
smog. Where would that fall in this um, lies?
So you are right, they are lies. Um, I would play it a little connected, more connected than that. So if you're saying that you got hit by a group of dinosaurs, then you would try and connect it with, either a Jurassic Park movie that you saw the previous night, or you were watching before you had to rush off to work, and that was still stuck in your head and you got transported to Jurassic Park, something of that sort. Or I would convert this to humor and say that some of these cars which run on the road, they're as old as the dinosaurs. I'm sure the dinosaurs became extinct because one of them ran over the dinosaurs. Yeah, something like that, or because of the smoke from these cars. So you could play it both ways, but I would still try to connect that specific exaggeration with something that happened before or something that is coming up next. Yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank
thank
you.
you.
Perfect. Yeah, Stefano, you've got your hand raised.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, I couldn't share my microphone. Thank you very much for your explanation, I wanted to ask something about writing the speech.
Hmm.
Do you have a suggestion or do you use a template to write the speech in the sense, is it something similar to stand up? When you write a punchline, you use a premise, setup, pivot, and punchline, or you go more, you think about the exaggeration itself each time?
So I would see the setup premise is the baseline for any kind of humor that you're trying to create. You would have your setup, you would have a small pause, then you would have your punchline and a larger pause after that. That's the basic structure of any humor that you're creating. Here, I would think a little bit more in terms of what exaggerations can I put in. So the template that I would use is I decide my starting and ending point, okay, and then see how I can take the story into an exaggerated state. So my first step from my starting point would lead me to one exaggeration. And from there, I see, okay, where can I take this next? Where can I take this next? Keeping in mind that in the end, I have to reach back at where I started, right? So that's probably how I would build the storyline. So more than the premise, sorry, the setup and punchline mode, which is more something inside your speech you would use. I would follow a storyline model and build the story first, and then spice up the exaggeration. We're using the model for a basic joke. Yeah. All right. Perfect. Thanks. Thank you, Stefano. Anybody else? Have we got any questions?
Yes, I have.
Oh, yes, go ahead, please.
Thank you for the opportunity. When I heard about the competitions, I said, yeah, I want to go to America, to the stage in America. So I said, I do it with tall tales. And then I heard it's not, you cannot go to the American stage with tall tale. Do you happen to know that?
Yeah, so whoever told you that you could go to the US with a tall tale,
That
that
was
was
my
a
mind.
that was a tall tale.
Oh, yeah. Exaggeration.
So, so the only competition in Toastmasters which goes beyond the district is the international speech contest. So that depending upon where they decide to hold the convention, it will be there. This year, I mean, the coming year, it is in Canada, in Vancouver. So you win the international speech contest from your district. The video goes into a regional quarterfinals, and if you qualify from there, you're invited to speak at the semifinals in Vancouver. Yeah. But the
Okay.
tall tale ends at the district level, most likely. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little off topic, my question, but in the introduction, they told you won 6 times. So you are very good. So do you have any an idea for us, which we definitely need to bring to the championships?
Okay, so my 6 times was not in the international. I won the international 3 times. I've won table topics, evaluation, humorous as well.
Very nice.
That's the total 6. But see, what I tell everybody who I mentor is that, don't think too much about the competition. You didn't join Toastmasters to win a trophy. You came to Toastmasters, not to prove yourself. You came to improve. You want to prove out there in the real world, right? With your work, with your family, with your society, with your community. That's where you want to prove your skills. Don't think too much about the competition. Just learn the techniques and work on improving your speech. And as long as your skill level gets better and better, you will win contests. The winning of the contest will happen by itself. If you really want to improve yourself, all of these different tracks that they have in Toastmasters, whether it is table topics, whether it's evaluation, humorous, international, tall tale, they all play a part in adding some skill to you. Now, if you really do well at tall tales, it will give you the confidence to go up on stage and keep a straight face. If you want to move into stand up later on, or you want to do some drama acting later on, Tall Tales is a good place to begin because it's a short speech. It's only 3 to 5 minutes. You don't have to tell the truth, but you get to learn how to keep a straight face, right? And these are skills which will help you in other aspects. For me, what I honestly believe is that the complete set is something you get if you really ace your international speech because you will have motivation, you will have humor, you will have storytelling, you will have good connection with the audience as well. So everything has its part in making you a better speaker, but you just have to get on stage and try.
Thank you very
That's
much.
where people fall short.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Perfect. I guess we've reached the end of any questions we have. I see Nimsy and Brian looking at me. When is this guy going to stop? He doesn't. I think he gets the feel that he's already in Amsterdam and doesn't want to go back. Uh,